and welcome to the Origo Workshops podcast about mental health. I am your host, Etelka Szeghalmi, and my guest today is Bálint Tóth.
Hi, hello everyone.
So we are here to discuss mental health, and I invited Bálint to discuss this topic because both of us are doing some Eastern practices, some Kung Fu, some Qigong, which is energetic exercises, for a longer period of time. And it seemed like a good idea to discuss how these Eastern traditions are relating to the question of mental health and what are the similarities and the differences compared to how an everyday person thinks about and how the Western world thinks about mental health. But before we dive deeper into this topic, I would like to ask you, Bálint, to say a few words about yourself, if you don't mind.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Etelka. I've been practicing Kung Fu for like 11 or 12 years right now. So yeah, gained a lot of knowledge of this kind of movement and martial art system.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, a lot of time, I mean most of the time I practiced with you in your team, Etelka, in your group. So it was really interesting to develop my skills with you, and you inspired me a lot of times. I mean in rough times as well. So what we are also speaking about that for example how martial arts can provide the well-being among the mental health topics as well. And also I'm practicing these Eastern cultures, the Taoism practices, like how I can keep also my body, my emotions, my thoughts in good conditions and in a healthy way. So yeah, I think I'm here mainly because of complex way of seeing things in life, as you also do. So yeah, it's an honor and good to be here. Thanks.
Thank you for accepting. Okay, before we start, let's just have a quick definition.
Mm-hmm.
We checked on the WHO's website what is the definition, let's say, of mental health. And it says that mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well and work well, and contribute to their community. So I think that's a pretty good definition. However, as we experience in our life, I think we have a more broader perspective of mental health, because for us I think it depends on more things than just your mental state of mind, so to speak. Or we can relate that your mental state of mind depends on your physical well-being and emotional well-being as well. As we were preparing to this podcast, we were discussing that I think the main difference was, and nowadays it is changing, but the main difference was between how West and East looks at the things regarding health in any level, is that in a Western idea you cure it as it rises, but in East they rather want to prevent it and not to get to that perspective that you need to cure it. But let's start with a different perspective. If you think about mental health, what is your idea of being mentally healthy?
Yeah, it's a good question, because of this podcast we thought through that what is mental health, because in Taoism we treat it as the whole, like more holistically, that not just we are caring of our mental health, but it just comes with the system, with the approach of these Eastern philosophies. But I would like to focus on the mental health itself. I think the first thing is that what gets to my mind is that I have space for myself,
Mm-hmm.
time and let's say energy to do what really makes me relaxed and happy.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point, because most people, if I ask, or if you ask a person what makes them happy, what are the things they are doing in their life for themselves, specifically to make themselves happy, that's a very hard question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I ask you what makes you happy and what are your me time activities, then I think that would have to do something with moving.
Yes, of course. So moving is a basic principle of of my life pillars, let's say. I think it's really crucial to know what makes us happy, because I believe that it gets us, or at least me, closer to my mental health. Yeah, like mental health maintaining, or I don't know how to say, but yeah, let's say just maintaining in this aspect. And on the other hand, so how I react to the world, what can trigger my emotions, mainly, because maybe it is not the best approach, but I think the main thing that can contribute to mental health is the, for me, the emotional level. So what emotions I get from other people who I attach to, mainly, for any kind of from any kind of people. And for me, the thoughts, the third level, is like not that much of a contribution for me. So I think it is also part of the Eastern philosophies that everyone is different, and the different part of life and different levels of environmental conditions and emotional and state of mind can influence in a different way our mental health, and it is also very important to understand it and find it in ourselves, that what are the key point for us.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important what you are saying here, because emotions have a really huge impact on your mind, on your mental health overall. And we have less consciousness, less awareness about our emotions than our thoughts. Because usually you know what you are thinking. I mean, because you are thinking it, which is pretty obvious. But with emotions, unfortunately, we live in an age where we have not learned from our parents how to really relate to our emotions, how to identify them, how to manage them in any sense. What we have been learning is either you just close them up if they are not acceptable in that circumstance or environment you are in, or on the other hand, you can just pour it on others, on your environment, and then either extremity is not very healthy, let's say, in any level. And yes, it has an impact on your mental health, because if you do the first one, obviously you will have no connections, because it's very hard to open up, so your social life will degrade. And if you have the other one, of course you will degrade your social life with your words, with your actions towards other people, because we tend to hurt the ones which are most close to us. While you were speaking, I was thinking about that, since I know you pretty well, how much is a part of your mental well-being or mental health is the fact that if and how you can impact the world. If you have an effect on your near environment or your farther environment explicitly.
Yeah, good question. I would say that it does make a contribution to my mental health if I can make an impact on my I think first on my closer environment, so friends and family, but it is, because it generates a general good feeling in me. If I can create something or make something good, then it is a positive feedback to me, which is a good emotion and a good state of mind that I feel also useful, and I think that I can give something to my environment and the society, which is also, I think, part of the official definition. So
Yes.
so that we we feel ourselves connected to our society.
Yeah, but I think for me personally, making an impact and making a difference is very important. Of course, that doesn't come without connection. So if you're not connected, you cannot make an impact. That's for sure. And sometimes because there are different stages in life, and yeah, also I would like to raise a few questions around that later on. But in any stage, I think to have an impact based on who you are, your values, and I don't mean in a sense to change people. I mean to want to change them or want them to accept you and to change. Then there is a difference between the two. But rather be who you are and inspire others to be who they are. I mean the best version of themselves is the way I think about making an impact or making a difference. I think mental health is different nowadays since the COVID came, because it had a huge change in most people's life and how we think about a lot of things like security, even the job environment, because home office became something very widely accepted. On the other hand, there are like everyday life events which can have an impact on your mental health, because they impose a higher level of stress. For example, I know that you just had a baby and in the meantime you were building a house, and these two separately are a high stress situation, but the two together might have had a higher impact. And what did you do personally in these cases? How did you handle this based on these traditions you were learning? How you were coping with this, let's say it's a difficult situation?
Yes, it's a really good question, because in this case I needed to have higher consciousness, I think, because mainly in everyday situations maybe it is not so required to be so conscious on your mental health like day by day. But if the stress level is so high, then okay, however I practice these Eastern philosophies, but then this kind of mixture of proactive and reactive method I applied. So I continuously monitored myself, that at the end of every day when I was in bed finally, that how I feel myself, what I think of the day, what I achieved. So I made it conscious that okay, what happened that day, because I felt a lot of times that I couldn't make something, that was an unsuccessful day. But to organize these thoughts and feelings helped me to organize from this kind of chaos or mess, which made me feel bad in general, and that I cannot make it in general. But after that it was like I dropped off a huge weight off my shoulders. It was an everyday or every night routine. And also I think the meditation methods helped me a lot, because it is not a direct method to mental health. So meditation in the Eastern philosophies target a much more higher level of connection with ourselves and with the universe, we can say. But it has an indirect effect on the mental health, because feeling the connection, feeling that yes, I can contribute and I feel of being part of the world, made it much more easier to see my goals and where I'm coming from and where I'm going to. Because if it was blurred out, my goals and where we wanted to go and what we wanted to achieve, then I think it would have been much more easier to sink in a much more lower state of the mind and maybe have mental issues, because because of the lot of stress to be handled day by day, and if you get overwhelmed by this acting and reacting to all the stresses, then it can just blur your goals and targets. And then if you start to feel that nothing makes sense and what am I doing, then it's, for me it would be a straight way to something not so good in terms of the mental health.
Yeah, it's a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah, a key point of what you are mentioning is, I think, awareness.
Yes.
Because as your life situation changes, you need to adapt in your habits, in the things you are practicing or doing in an everyday manner. Because sometimes it can happen that you don't need an evening or morning ritual, because practically we are talking about rituals in a good sense, that you're doing something which grounds you, you are doing something which helps you going back to who you are, and then start the day or end the day with being who you are. As we think about sleeping as a reset, if you are not going back to who you are, and you are not processing the things which are happening with you in your everyday life, then they will still keep on processing while you are sleeping, which gives you not as good quality sleep, which will have an impact on a long run on your mental health for sure, because whoever doesn't sleep well will not be effective, will not be connected, will not be having a good quality of life. But besides that, the things which are processing will not actually grant you a reset for the next day, because you are still in the process of the previous day. So I think that is a very, very important point, and to be able to see and to be aware that you are now in a more stressful situation because of the circumstances changing, then you need to put more effort in keeping the balance and maintaining your everyday health as it is.
Yes, indeed, and honestly, there were several times that I just really hadn't had any time for myself, but I had time when for example, I was in a car driving from one place to another in a hurry, but then I had several minutes that, okay, this is happening. I feel this is really bad and really stressful situation, but I know that it will be like 1 or 2 weeks, and I accept that. To talk it out loud, that I accept that it is right now happening. I accept this stress, but I will keep going, and after 2 weeks it will be gone. That it also helped a lot to endure that condition, just by make it on a conscious level, not just going with the flow.
Yeah, I love that you raised this topic of acceptance, because I think many people are misunderstanding acceptance. Acceptance is not that you are let's say, liking the situation, that you are approving the situation, that you are enhancing the situation. It means that is the basic level, because without acceptance you cannot change the situation.
Yes.
Because you are not in reality. Acceptance means that you see what's real, and I think that is a very important part of after awareness. That's the next step practically, so that's why I really love that you brought that up.
Sorry, just also it came to my mind that the Taoism philosophy says that stress is also an energy. So everything is energy, and if you can handle that, and you realize that, okay, it is a stressful situation, but you can feel the energy itself, and you may also feel the force you want to apply against it. You don't want to accept the situation, but with the unacceptance, you keep pushing that force, and it just drains your energy.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But you resist, persist.
Yeah.
Usually that's the case. So if the resistance, you cannot work with the resistance, then you are not accepting reality, And that's again a very, very important point on how to work towards your mental health. And while we're talking, another important thing which came into my mind is to be really able to distinguish two things: the ones you can change and the ones you can't. Because the ones you don't have a direct impact on, then you need to leave and let go of, to be able to focus instead on the ones you actually can change and work with, and put your energy and efforts on those things. Because otherwise you will spend and waste your energy trying to change something which is not in your power to change. And that is a very, very devastating situation, because you push it, you push all the energy into it, and still it does not change. But it's not your fault, because you cannot change that. And accepting that fact that you cannot change that and focusing on the ones you can change can mean like a kind of life or death choice in a situation. But as we were mentioning in the beginning, actually these practices from East are rather focusing on prevention. So you were mentioning Taoism, where we have 3 centers, like this Trinity. I think it is very well grounded in a lot of systems. You have the body, you have the energy or emotions, and you have your mind or consciousness. And if you are talking about prevention, what would you say it is the most important part of prevention, considering these 3 centers?
Yeah, connecting to the Taoism, the most important is to handle and take care of each levels like in a harmony. So as a Taoist people, we take care, maybe not day by day, just week by week or month by month, according to the present energy in the environment, with the different centers. So in general, if everything is fine and in general we are okay, we don't really separate the mental health and make practices or habits or whatever to keep it going or to prevent any bad things. But maybe in an initial condition of a mental health issue, then we separate it and we have methods and practices to handle those issues. But in general, we see it as a complete system. We just refining all the energies, and because they are interconnected, these kind of centers and the levels, then in general we don't need to focus only on one thing.
For me, just one complementary thing to this, I think every individual have their strengths and weaknesses, and that can be interpreted in the 3 centers as well, which means that you have one of them which is stronger than the rest, and one of them which is weaker than the rest. And with the necessary level of self-knowledge, you know which is which for you personally. And this means that you find your slippery slope, because usually there is one where we tend to neglect. And if you are aware of which one you are neglecting mostly, then you can really make habits and build it into your life to have that harmony that you were talking about. And I think mostly when we are in a stressful situation and we receive an effect from our environment, the weak center of ours would show the first
like symptoms.
Or you will experience there, and then you know that something is off by those symptoms. So someone, just to give you an example, someone will experience physical issues, someone would experience emotional upheavals, and someone would experience mental confusion or lack of clarity, or even a downward spiral kind of thinking that everything is bad and these kind of things. But not all of us will have all of them. You will experience on one level first. And of course, since they are interconnected, as Bálint was mentioning, after a while you will experience on all of them. But there is one where you start. And I think it's good to be aware of which one is yours to start with. We were not mentioning specifically, but in this system, social encounters belong to emotional well-being, let's say. So that would mean that if you take care of your emotional, energetic level, then you would take care of your relationships with others, your personal relationships, work relationships, everything belonging to this area. So I think nowadays, after COVID, this has a more significance than previously was, because we experienced a period of time when this was not as given as it is now.
Yeah, so we felt disconnected, we were closed in our apartments and houses. So yeah, and it showed that we really need this connection with the ones we know and we like and we love. So it can a huge effect on our emotional and mental well-being and health.
Yeah, but also what I really love about this system is that actually when we are talking about connection, there are three things we are talking about, and one is your connection to your social environment, one is the connection to yourself, and the third one is the connection to any higher power. Because being a part of something greater than you are gives you a sense of stability, gives you a sense of security, and gives you the feeling that regardless of your circumstances, you are never alone, because you are not meant to be alone. Well, I think that's a very good closing sentence. I would like to thank you for being here, Bálint, today and share your thoughts on mental health.
Thank you, Etelka, for the invitation. It was a really nice discussion, and I think I also learned some new things here.
It's always good to learn. Thank you for your time listening to us, and we will come back with another Origo podcast. Bye.
Bye bye.